Hey there everybody, Decaff here from YSFlight and today we've got a really cool tips and tricks tutorial for you. This is going to help you save a lot of time and frustration and repetitive tasks in your future modeling. So what we are going to do today is separate our current user interface setup into a few more windows to really isolate what we're trying to do, enable us to quickly transition and save time. So right here we have our Mirage F1 from the Google SketchUp to YSFlight tutorial. Right now this has just finished up the smoothing stage. I like to save the different stages of my work as different files so I can have intermediate steps to go back to in case something happens. But let's go in and start looking at some things that we can do here. One thing that you might find if you're doing some scratch modeling using reference images is that you constantly have to switch back and forth between the different view modes, and it can get kind of confusing sometimes and kind of frustrating because it's, oh my goodness, it's all these different stuff. I mean, really, you could go through and hit the 7, 1, and 3 buttons a lot of different times, but sometimes, you know what, I just don't want to have to deal with that. So what we can do is actually split our 3D view window into separate windows. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our mouse down to the boundary between the 3D view window and the buttons window down here. And notice when I drag my mouse over, it changes when it's just on it. It looks like a little hand grabbing. We're going to right click and say split areas. Now what I can do now is drag a line back and forth in between the button window and the 3D view window. Since I want to split up my 3D view window, I'm going to go ahead and click up here, and now I have a brand new 3D view window, which I can then widen by just dragging over a little bit. And whenever my mouse is in this 3D view window, all my controls are relative to it. So if I go over here, I can have a bunch of views going on at the same time. So if I'm editing something in here, say I select everything and I scale it, well, now it's scaling on both sides. So that's kind of a cool thing. But let's say we are looking to deal more with animations. We want to get into that sort of mode. Well, we have the option to go ahead and split this guy even further. And now we have 2 windows over here to work with. So the one down here that I'm going to switch to is a script window. And I'm going to bring up my DNM script, DNM view. And I'll shrink this guy down so it just barely fits, so I can sort of maximize my 3D view window over here, because this is going to be my only 3D view window when I'm done. Now another useful window that I have come across in different general modes, up here we can go to the animation section and look at all the animation stuff that goes on in here. But what I really liked about it was this window over here, which I could go ahead and select all these different things and go in, delete unnecessary empties. So for example, when I'm going and recycling empties, I can take them completely out of the model with very high precision and very easy deleting. I know exactly what I'm going to delete. I don't have to delete them one at a time. I can just go through and hit delete, delete, delete. Additionally, if we go and look at our outline window, which is what that was, we can then see all the parent-child relationships. And it gives us the mesh name right here. So let's say I rename my fuselage in the end window as fuselage. Well, lo and behold, there it is over here. And let's say we parent the wings to that. Now I have something that's down below here. And if I look, hey, there's my wings. Let's rename that here. And there we go. Here's the actual mesh. Here's the mesh there. This is a very, very powerful window that we can go in and do a lot of our work with. Now, I don't want to have to reset this every single time that I go ahead and use this setup. I might just want to have this come up as my default. When I open up Blender, this is what I see. So what I can do is go up File, Save Default Settings, or Control U. And if I click that, if I come back to Blender, this is exactly how it's going to look. So let's reset Blender, if you will, by adding in a new file. Oops, we forgot to hit the erase all. But notice that nothing really changed. What's going on here? Well, because we have this particular file open, now this is considered the default thing for a new file to be. But let's say we don't want that. We want to reset this because we don't want to have this Mirage F1 to be our default model, because it would take a lot of deleting and things, and we just don't want to have to deal with that. What we can do is go File, Load Factory Settings. Oops, forgot to hit the extra button there. Erase all. And now we're back to the normal interface that we're all expecting. So what we can do here is go ahead now, split the areas, split them again, go to our various windows that we'd like to have open all the time. Object, DNM view, let's bring this guy down, go to our outliner, scoot this guy over, and now we can go ahead and say, hey, this is going to be our default setup. So if I go ahead and open up our smoothing here using the old settings, because I didn't save it with the new window setup, and then I go ahead and hit new, erase all. Hey, would you look at that? We're all set. So I hope you find this tutorial helpful. I know that this is going to save you guys a lot of time if you choose to go down this method. So till next time, have fun with this.